The kettlebell windmill is a hip hinge exercise, but we're not just sending the hips back like we do in a deadlift. We're sending one hip to the side, back, and up all at once. For that reason, it's one of the more complicated hip hinges. Today I'm going to show you how to do the windmill and some common mistakes that we see that tend to make the windmill look more like a yoga triangle, which we're definitely trying to avoid. The kettlebell windmill is a hip hinge. So with a normal hip hinge, we bend our knees a little bit to help facilitate sending the hips back behind us, and we keep our back long and flat. So with the windmill, it's a little more nuanced. Only one leg is bending and one hip is hinging. So our front leg, the leg that's not underneath the weight, is going to bend, and our back hip is actually going to hinge towards the corner behind us and up. It's not just going out towards the side, and it's not going back behind us. It's really that middle ground of back and up. So this is what it looks like without weight to do a hip hinge, a windmill. We lower down underneath that weight. Imagine the weight's in my hand, that hip goes back and up. And when I can't hinge anymore, when I've reached the ultimate hinge point, I stop, because otherwise I would keep going and my spine would round. And if you imagine in a deadlift, if you went to the point where your spine would round, that would cause a lot of discomfort in the back. Same thing with the windmill. So I'm going to pick up a weight and demonstrate. You can clean the weight up, snatch it, press it, however you want to get it up there. But once it's up there, the weight sits on the back of my wrist. I keep a long, neutral, straight wrist, and then I pack my arm into the shoulder socket. You want to make sure that the back is engaged. Pick a light weight for this exercise. Then my feet are right underneath me, and I turn them away from the bell towards the front leg at a 45-degree angle. That front foot can be a little more than 45 degrees. And then we bend the front leg and have the hand run along the inside of the thigh as you hinge down and send that hip back and up until I can't go anymore. When you're really aware of what that hip's doing, there's actually a hard stop. And then I exhale, zip up. So again, I hinge, sending the hip back and up. Find where that bottom point of the hinge is, and come up. You can even take your hand to your front of your hip here and feel that hip traveling back and up. And then at a certain point it stops. I just would feel myself coming down more, but that starts to compromise the spine. I don't like that. This is my end point. Maybe see how far down my fingers are so you understand how far you want to go when you're going for reps. And then you come back up. So to understand what happens with the torso and hips, I'm going to rotate to the side so that way you can actually see what happens when you're looking straight on from the side. The arm is up. That hand is right over my leg. That never changes. The weight always stands right over my grounded back leg. Turn the feet out at 45 degrees. And now my head's going to come slightly forward and my hip's going to go slightly back and up. And I hinge. And I'm keeping my core tight and my spine long. And come up. And come up. Now, when this is done incorrectly, the spine can start to get a big arch in it. So I'm going to show from behind what it looks like to go past the point of hinging properly and when the spine starts to round. This would be getting to the right point. This would be going too far. And one more thing we want to avoid is looking like we're in a yoga triangle. So if the feet are too wide, if the front leg doesn't bend, we end up coming into what looks like a yoga triangle, and this is going to really hurt your back. It puts a lot of strain here. The side body doesn't stay long. We want that side body to stay long, and it's just not a very effective exercise. We lose loading the back glute. So keep those feet right underneath the hips. Turn the toes out at a 45-degree angle. Look up at the bell. Hinge until you can't hinge anymore, sending the hip up and back. And then come up. And make sure you always stand up tall at the top. Don't just come to here and go back down. You actually want to come to a lockout point and feel strong and grounded. I hope this is helpful. Give the windmill a shot.